Welcome back to the CNBC TV 18 special. My guest is the Governor, Reserve Bank. Let me come to the new bank licenses and the guidelines that you have put out for small banks and payment banks. Will the old fit and proper rules apply to these applicants? I mean, a lot in the previous round had been of universal bank licenses were rejected because of fit and proper. One regulator or the other objecting or saying that there is a move against that company. Will that continue to hold, or is it different because the stakes are small?
See, in this country, a bank license is a license to print money, right? So you have to be a little careful about that. I think that we'll have to follow reasonable fit and proper rules. I don't think that we would have to, we would want to make, allow for weaker fit and proper. But I think there will be plenty of applicants who will meet reasonable fit and proper criteria. So let us see. I mean, I don't think the rules were that strict last time either. But
we were told a lot of people didn't get the license because of one fit and proper miss or the other.
No, some. If you're being investigated by the CBI for something or the other, it's very hard for me to say that, we don't worry about that. And not something ordinary, but some serious misdemeanor. I shouldn't say misdemeanor, so serious allegations. Until you're clear of that, it's very hard to say, we're giving you a free pass. So, but I would say that my sense is there will be enough people who would pass any reasonable fit and proper criteria. I don't think that's going to be the constraint.
Okay, I'm being warned I'm out of time. So, FSLRC, how much are you with the government, or is the government with you? And is the area of disagreement only the appellate authority and the fact that RBI's decisions may be appealed against? Is that one of the two areas of disagreement?
I don't think the government has made up its mind on every last detail of the FSLRC.
But on this,
there is a panel looking at there's a group looking at the appellate tribunal. But what is important is and I've said this repeatedly, we don't have a problem if penalties we levy are appealed, whether to a tribunal or a court. That's fine. The question is, are you going to put policy decisions? If I say equity is going to be 15%, it's based on a judgment as to what is the appropriate level of equity ownership in these kinds of things. There's a whole range of things we look at.
Only policy would be your objection. I mean, there have been times when the Reserve Bank has superseded bank boards or put its members in banks.
I see that as penalties and size of penalties are one issue. That's fine. But if you're talking about those kinds of judgmental decisions, where in the interests of the stability of the system, we say that, maybe the bank has to be superseded or this and that. Now, you have to be a little careful about putting too much second guessing and third guessing into those kinds of things. Now, if we don't follow due process, there's already an appellate process through the courts. So our decisions can be appealed in the courts, and routinely our decisions to cancel the registration are appealed in the courts. But the point, however, is that if every last thing, we just did away with this 80-20 rule. If that was stuck up in the courts for a few months, just think of the kind of arbitrage that would go on in gold purchases, anticipating.
No, I'm with you even when you pull up a bank and put your representatives there. I am not questioning your argument that there shouldn't be an appellate authority. But the government seems to be, they want an appellate authority. Well, you called it schizophrenic in that speech.
No, so what the word schizophrenic was used with respect to something else, which was that one concern is the scope of any appellate authority. And I don't think we have any evidence that it has worked wonderfully well in other circumstances. So be careful. Yes, rule of law is important, but are your regulators in particular cases already constrained sufficiently by rule of law, or do you want to put fresh levels of oversight and appeal, etc.? Be careful, because it doesn't necessarily improve the quality of decision making and can make it worse. That's one thing. Especially, and I'm not saying never, I'm saying especially when the economy is growing and a whole lot of new things have to happen, if you put oversight on oversight, then you're likely to get paralysis and not much movement.
And you have a very fine legal mind as the finance minister. You've been able to convince him?
No, we haven't had a discussion about these issues. The second, I think, important thing to keep in mind is the organizations they're talking about. There's one lesson you take away from the crisis. It is that different kinds of organizations worked, and the same kind of organization failed in other circumstances. So there is no ideal organizational structure. But the FSRC recommends a certain restructuring of the regulators without a huge amount of evidence or analysis into why what it proposes is the appropriate structure. Now, I think there are a lot of good things in the FSLRC report, including, for example, the call for a financial resolution authority, etc. New institutions have to be set up. The FSLRC report does a wonderful job of laying it out. I think we shouldn't treat it as the Bible, that this is the gospel truth. We should subject it to the same kind of inquiry that they would want the regulators themselves to subject their own actions to. So let us subject the FSLRC, let us debate these. Does it make sense? And where there isn't much argument supporting their rationale, let us question whether we need to change the status quo, whether there are many gains from it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying debate it, don't treat it like the gospel truth, especially because there were significant members of that committee who dissented against the report. Now we get the sense the FSLRC is some sort of monolithic, wonderful, perfectly accepted document. It's not. It's yet to be fully debated. So let's debate it.
Okay. But has the finance minister bought that argument?
No, look, I don't think the finance ministry has, I think the finance ministry is moving ahead on certain aspects of the FSLRC report. I think the regulators themselves have moved ahead on things like the non-legislative recommendations, including, for example, we're moving towards a consumer protection code. So there are lots of good things that we've taken up, and I think we'll take up more. But I'm saying there are certain aspects of which there is still regulatory concern, and before it's rolled out in full, let us debate it.
Before I try your Secretariat's patience anymore, let me end where I began. The MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee. On that, is the Finance Ministry seeing your point of view that it should be committee, it should be collegial, and that you should have the hand in appointing that collegium, that Monetary Policy Committee?
I think discussions on those issues are at an early stage. It would be premature to comment on it. But I'm hopeful that we should reach some kind of a consensus after which government will make up its mind.
When should we expect the committee?
I mean,
is it in a year?
The finance minister, those are part of the discussions. That will be part of the discussions. The finance minister announced this in his previous budget, so hopefully the announcement on the modalities would come before the next budget.
Okay, and you are hopeful that they have bought the idea. It should be a committee member.
Look, it's ongoing. I don't want to comment on the precise.
All right, Governor. You've indulged me with more time than you promised me in the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you.